Kúrọ̀lẹ́ níbikíbi tẹ́ ẹ bá ti láǹfààní àti máa gbọ́ ìkànnì rédíò ẹlẹ́rọ àmìjìjì hyper 102.7 FM tí ń bẹ lémùrè ilé níjọba àbílẹ̀ Ọ̀wọ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ìwọ̀ oòrùn orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ètò yìí tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti bí ọ̀sẹ̀ karùn-ún sẹ́yìn Alaboyun àtOju Ọjọ́ ó ní ó tún gòrè àtẹ́gùn lákòókò yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ti sọ fún yín pé ọ̀sẹ̀ márùn-ún gbáko ó ní a fi ṣe ètò yìí kò sí ní tó níbẹ̀rẹ̀ tí kì í ní òpin ṣùgbọ́n lónìí ohun tá a ṣe òun ni wípé a ṣe àtúnyẹ̀wò àwọn ohun gbogbo tá a ti sọ tá a ti kọ́ nínú ọ̀rọ̀ nínú ìbánifọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ àti nínú àwọn ìtàkùrọ̀sọ wa pẹ̀lú àwọn lámèétọ́. Alaba Adeyemi lóókọ mi èmi ni ó máa ràn yín létí àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí lédè Yorùbá. Ẹnìkejì mi ó ń bẹ ń kalẹ̀ àwọn náà yóò máa sọ èèbó.
A very beautiful afternoon to you, our listeners out there. Like we've made it to understand, the program, Climate Change and Pregnant Women. This is a program that has been on for some time now, and like we told you, it's going to last. It's going to be it's going to span like 5 weeks, and this is the 5th week. And like my principal just said, that it's something that has the beginning that doesn't have an end. In today's edition, we are going to bring to your listening pleasure a summary of all that has been done so far. Is it the interview with professionals? I'm talking about the doctors. Is it the drama series and maybe the various ethnic groups that have been considered in the course of making this program a more, attractive and interesting one? And that is why we are saying that a very big welcome to you, our listeners out there. Like I've always said, if you are not there, we won't be here. We are here because you are there. On this note, I want to say that you sit back, relax, and please have a nice time with us as we journey down this program for today. Thank you very much.
Ẹ já bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí ná. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ nígbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ a ní kí gbogbo wa ká wo àyíká wa dáadáa. Ẹni bá ti gbélé ayé fógún ọdún àbí fọ́gbọ̀n ọdún yóò mọ̀ wípé ìṣọwọ́rọ̀ òjò ó ti ń yí padà díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ẹ tún ṣàkíyèsí wípé ìṣọwọ́ wá ẹ̀rùn, àkókò ooru, àkókò ọyẹ́ ó ti ń yí padà díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ṣé ẹ wá ráwọn nǹkan tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí? Kì í ṣe agbègbè wa nìkan ló ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Kì í ṣe ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ló pọ̀ jù lágbàáyé tó fi jẹ́ pé ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀. Láwọn orílẹ̀-èdè jákèjádò àgbáyé ó ní ó ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n lọ́dọ̀ tiwa nítorí pé ilé òun la ti ń kẹ́ṣọ̀ọ́ ròde ó láwọn àkíyèsí tá a pè wá sí. A wá wò ó wípé láàárín ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èrò tí ń bẹ lókè èèpẹ̀ àwọn wo gan-an òun ni ọ̀rọ̀ yìí tí ó kàn gbọ̀ngbọ̀ngbọ̀n jùlọ. Àwọn wo gangan ni àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ yìí tó máa ń nípa lára ìlera wọn jùlọ. A wá rí wípé àwọn obìnrin tó lóyún nú àti àwọn ọmọ wẹ́wẹ́ ó ní kíní yìí máa nípa lórí wọn jùlọ. Ìdí nìyí tó fi jẹ́ wípé a fi pè àkórí ètò yìí ní Alaboyun àti Ojú Ọjọ́. Alaboyun àtOju Ọjọ́. Ká tó wá ṣe ètò yìí, ká tó máa mẹ́tò yìí wá, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ìrìn àjò òun láti rìn jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo àti àwọn ìletò tó súnmọ́ wa káàkiri láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tí ó súnmọ́ wa láti mọ kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wọn. Bó o ní àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ ṣe nípa lára wọn. Kí làwọn àkíyèsí tí kì í sábà ṣẹlẹ̀ sáwọn aláboyún wọn tẹ́lẹ̀ tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Kí lóhun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sáwọn ọmọ wọn? Lọ́sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ káàkiri là ń lọ káàkiri láti béèrè. A béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn oníbísí. A béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn alákọ̀ọ́bí. A béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n ti yé mọ́lẹ̀ tó ti pọ̀ díẹ̀ tó ti ń bímọ fún sáà díẹ̀. A béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn lámèétọ́. A béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn àgbàálé, àwọn baálé, àwọn ìyáálé ilé. Kí làwọn àkíyèsí tí wọ́n ń ṣe? gbogbo àwọn ìrírí yìí ó ń lápò pọ̀ tá a fi ṣe tẹ́pẹpẹ ètò yìí. Ẹni bá rí àwọn eré orí ìtàgé èyí tá a ṣe nínú ètò yìí yóò mọ̀ pé afọwọ́kan ẹ̀sìn, afọwọ́kan àṣà, afọwọ́kan ìṣọwọ́kọ́lé, afọwọ́kan ètò ẹ̀kọ́, bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni afọwọ́kan àwọn nǹkan míì tó rọ̀ mọ́. Gbogbo ẹ̀ kí gbogbo aráalé kí a bá lè mọ ètò tọ́ àti ètò yẹni àti ẹ̀ tún fọwọ́ kan ṣe ọ̀gbìn nínú àwọn ìtẹ́pẹpẹ wọ̀nyí. Gbogbo ẹ̀ òun la ṣe kí gbogbo wa ká bá lè ní òye tó tọ́ àti òye tó yẹ.
Thank you very much. Like you made it to understand the issue of climate change and the pregnant woman and the infant or the children as the case may be. It's not something that is just limited to Nigeria alone. It's a global issue. It's an issue that is taking effect in virtually all over the world. But of course, its impact on Africa, Nigeria, and to be precise, Ondo State, is what this program is deliberately meant to address. Of course, there are similarities, but of course, there are quite differences. And that is why we painstakingly on this program embarked on a journey round the four walls of Ondo State. And of course, our neighboring state like Ekiti and Kogi in some cases, to actually inquire how does, because Ondo State, for instance, you cannot consider the weather in Ondo North, for instance, to that of the weather in Ondo South. Ondo North is very close to the north, while Ondo South is very closer to the riverine area. So there are two different things. Of course, that's why we're able to embark on this research. Informations we are gathered via, pregnant women, informations we are gathered via village heads, information we are gathered from the various government agencies and departments. We are equally able to gather informations, even from pregnant women and, of course, their husbands and maybe chiefs, and as the case may be. That is why we are bringing on board again today the summary of what we did in the course of this program. All this brought together is what is making this program. Of course, like you rightly said again, in the course of doing this program, we are able to consult maybe doctors that are professionals on this field to actually give their own input via drama, via interviews, and of course, through one or two playlets that was equally heard in this program. And all this we've been able to gather together to bring to our listening pleasure this afternoon regarding the pregnant woman, climate change and the children. Thank you very much.
Ẹ jẹ́ kí n wá fi àkókò yìí dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti jẹ́ kí ètò yìí ṣeé ṣe. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ẹ jẹ́ á dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àjọ Political Center tí wọ́n ní ká lọ ṣe iṣẹ́ yìí tí wọ́n sì tì wá lẹ́yìn lọ́nà tó tọ́ àti tó yẹ. A tún fàkókò yìí dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn aláṣẹ iléeṣẹ́ yìí bẹ̀rẹ̀ látọ̀rí àwọn tó ní iléeṣẹ́ gangan sórí ẹni tó jẹ́ gíwá iléeṣẹ́ ìyún onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ Paul Olóòtú. A tún dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n fara wọn jì láti bá wa ṣe eré orí ìtàgé yẹn, nítorí kì í ṣe wípé bóyá a fún wọn ní nǹkan rẹpẹtẹ, ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n fara jì ní gbogbo wọn sì ni wọ́n tọwọ́ bọ̀wé tí wọ́n sọ wípé àwọn ṣetán láti bá wa kópa nínú iṣẹ́ yìí. Ìrìn àjò láti lè rí àrígbámú àti àrídájú ohun bí àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ ṣe ń nípa lára àwọn èèyàn wa ní pàtàkì jùlọ àwọn aláboyún. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹnìkejì mi ti fèèbó sọ, ó gbé wa dé Èkìtì, ó gbé wa dé Kogi, ó gbé wa dé Ẹdó, ó gbé wa dé ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Gbogbo àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ tó yí wa ká ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo, òun ni a ti gbọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu àwọn èèyàn láti mọ bó ló ṣe ń rí, kì í sì ṣe lẹ́nu àwọn lámèétọ́ nìkan àti lẹ́nu àwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n ń gbé ní ẹsẹ̀ pùpù. Adúpẹ̀pẹ́ òkun lọ́wọ́ gbogbo wọn. Kí wá ni àwọn àbáyọrí àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ tí a rí? Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, a ṣàkíyèsí wípé nítorí pé à ń gbé ní apá ayé tó móoru tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, ooru ó jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára ìpèníjà tí àwọn aláboyún wa máa ń ní. Ìyẹn àkọ́kọ́, torí wípé bí ìmóoru àyíká yún atmospheric temperature pé ó ti ń lọ sókè ju ti tẹ́lẹ̀ lọ. a ṣàkíyèsí wípé torí ìdí èyí bójò náà bá máa rọ̀ ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í rọ̀ lọ́nà táwọn èèyàn wá kà sí lódìlódì. Tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá gbàgbé pé ní bí ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì sẹ́yìn omíyalé àgbàrá ya ṣọ́ọ̀bù ó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ìlú ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo. A sì rí wípé bí omíyalé bá ti ṣẹlẹ̀ àwọn àrùn onírúurú onígbá méjì ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ gbúurú gbogbo ẹ̀ ló máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ látàrí wípé àwọn àgbàrá yìí yóò ti ba àwọn omi tí àwọn èèyàn wa mu jẹ́ ní pàtàkì jùlọ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo tó jẹ́ wípé ìdá bíi 90 nínú 100 àbí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ló jẹ́ pé omi kànga ni wọ́n mu lójoojúmọ́. Gbogbo ẹ̀ a sì ṣe ìwádìí lórí bó o ní kíní ṣe nípa lára àwọn èèyàn wa. A tún gbé àwọn lámèétọ́ tí wọ́n ń bá ìjọba ṣiṣẹ́ wá náà láti béèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn. Gbogbo ẹ̀ òun làwọn ìwádìí àti àbálọ àbábọ̀ ohun tá a rí mú lórí àwọn ìrìnkèrindò wa.
Thank you very much. Yeah, our appreciation, our sincere appreciation goes to the center that actually sponsored this program. That is the Professor Center. Of course, we equally want to appreciate them for the wonderful job they've done so far in making sure that this program becomes a reality. And of course, we equally want to thank the general manager of this great station in person of Engineer Paul Olotu and all the engineering crew that made this program a huge success. And every person and individuals that actually took part in the drama session. Of course, they all assented to it voluntarily to making sure that, of course, they contributed their own quota in the fulfillment of this great mission assigned to us. And of course, we want to thank all professionals, every person that has contributed in one way or the other. Is it the market women that we interviewed? Is it the professionals that came on board, medical professionals that came on board to actually give their own scent on the program? And of course, we really want to thank every person that has contributed in one way or the other to the program. Yes, the major reason why this program is coming up is because of, like we already said, climate change and the pregnant woman. But of course, the difference is just that back here, like for instance, where the program was being sponsored from, they operate actually a cold weather there. But here in Africa, Nigeria, and Ondo State to be precise, we operate more of a hot temperature atmospheric condition down here. And that is why we did the research on its effect on the pregnant woman. And recently, if you could remember, now like what is happening now regarding climate change, rain doesn't fall the way it used to fall normally before. It now rains heavily, whereby we begin to experience all manners of erosion, flooding here and there. And of course, in some cases as well, whenever the heat becomes so tense, like as we are approaching the heat period, it takes a terrible toll on the pregnant woman. And of course, in the course of the program as well, we are able to address issues from all areas. Is it when it comes to the location you find yourself? Is it when it comes to religion? Is it when it comes to the issue of, our residents, kind of houses we equally abode? The vaccination and what have you. These are virtually all areas that this program has been able to address. And it's on this note, of course, that we shall be continuing again this program today, begin to have more understanding of the effect of climate change on the pregnant woman and the child, and of course on the baby inside the womb as well. Because like we all know, whenever there is flooding and what have you, flood waterways are always contaminated, thereby resulting to diarrhea, thereby resulting to all form manner of malnutrition and here and there. And we equally consider the issue of climate change on agriculture, because the very minute there is flooding, it affects the agricultural sector. And maybe whenever there is heat temperature, and God forbid, maybe because of some people trying to hunt for games in the bush, they set fire into the bush and it's consumed. That is why even our various agencies have been warning that whenever we are in the harmattan period, please, it's not the time for you to set fire in bushes to take down games. So these are the areas that we actually looked into. And of course, to a large extent, we've come to the conclusion about this program today. And that is why we want to bring to summary, to your listening pleasure, all these things encapsulated in the program for today. Thank you very much.
Àwọn bíi àmọ̀ràn bíi 5 sí 10 onígbà wá lónìí tí ó jẹ́ àwọn àbáyọrí àwọn ìwádìí wa àti ìtẹ́pẹpẹ ètò. Nǹkan àkọ́kọ́ tí mo fẹ́ sọ fún yín lónìí ni wípé gbogbo aláboyún táìsàn ń ṣe kọ́là jẹ́, torí lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìgbà wọ́n bá ti ní pé aláboyún kan dákú níbì kan, wọ́n ní àjẹ́nì ó ti dá májẹ̀mú pé òun fẹ́ lọ ni ó ti sọ pé òun ó lọ ó wá fẹ́ lọ àjẹ́ burúkú. ẹlòmíì yóò nìkan kẹsẹ̀ bọ́ná, ẹlòmíì bí bálàgbó ṣe ń gbé jáde olóróró mọ̀ gbé jáde, agbó ẹlòmíì gan ó ti ń rùn fọ̀ wọ́n gbé jáde, olómi yóò mọ̀ gbé jáde, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n mọ̀ domi lé lórí. bí aláboyún kankan bá ní pé bóyá ṣe ni rí i pé bóyá ó dákú àbó rẹ̀ wẹ̀sì, ohun tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe ni pé ẹ gbé e lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn ìjọba tó bá súnmọ́ yín, ó sì lè jẹ́ taládàáni náà bẹ́ẹ̀ bá lè sanwó ẹ gbé e lọ káwọn tó mọ̀ nípa ètò ìlera kí wọ́n bá yín yẹ̀ wò kí wọ́n sì fún ní ìtọ́jú tó yẹ.
Yeah, like we ready to understand, in this part of this world, whenever a woman is pregnant and probably begin to react to the weather condition, unfortunately, we begin to turn it into a matter of give it a kind of interpretation, and that is why we are advising. Like you have rightly said, we'll be giving you 10 advice. This is just one of it, 9 or 4 as the case may be. It's coming on board, and that is why whenever a pregnant woman begin to react, and of course, like we all know, there's some trimester period that women begin to misbehave, depending on the condition or the body chemistry of the pregnant woman. Whenever the stuff like that begin to happen, that is when you begin to see all manners. As some people bringing water from holy rock, some people bringing all manner of concussion just to revive the woman. Some even went as far as saying that, okay, she's an Ogbanje, she's of the marine spirit. She wants to go back. That's why probably she's fainting, collapsing, behaving in this manner. And before you see Jack Robinson, such human feet is being burned with fire. You see, that is why this program is of greatest importance to our listening pleasure for people to actually know that not all women that react to weather or climate condition, climate change as the case may be, is a witch. And of course, whenever such thing arises, the next thing that we should do is to making sure that we assess the nearest medical or health center facilities for proper assessment of what is actually taking place within the pregnant woman's body body chemistry. Thereby, the right medical medication or medical attendance will be administered on her, rather than we embarking on self-medication, rather than we believing that, okay, maybe she's being possessed in one way or the other. You should all understand that whenever a pregnant woman is reacting based on her body chemistry, it is as a result of the weather condition. The weather may be too cold, but of course, like you rightly said, in our own part of the world here, we do experience hot weather. And there is no how a pregnant woman that is experiencing hot weather will not begin to react negatively. And that is the importance and value of this program.
Àmọ̀ràn kejì tí ń gbà wá lónìí ó ní wípé omi dá lára. Ó dá fàgbàlagbà, ó dá fọmọdé, ó dá fún aláboyún, ó dá fọmọ ọwọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ èèyàn bá ti lóyún, ẹ jẹ́ kán máa mu mi dáadáa. Omi tó lọ́wọ́ọ́rọ́, abómi tí ò tutù jẹ̀yìnjẹ̀yìn, òní kẹ̀jẹ́ kan máa mu ordinary water àbí warm water kan máa mu dáadáa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń jáde aláboyún, ẹ gbómi dání, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń wà nù ilé, ẹ máa mu mi, ẹ máa mu. Ṣùgbọ́n bómi ṣe wá dáa tó, ẹjọ́ ó jẹ́ omi tó mọ́ gaara, omi tó mọ́, omi tí ò ní dọ̀tí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti rí pé àgbàrá ti ṣẹ̀wọ́nú kànga yín, ẹ má múrú omi bẹ́ẹ̀ láìsè àti pé láìsẹ̀ ẹ má múrú omi bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ mu omi dá, omi làbùwẹ̀, omi làbùmú, omi làbù sórí. Ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo wa ká máa mu mi dáadáa. Àìmumi tó ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àìsàn òun ló ń fà sí ara. Tí ẹ mọ̀ pé ẹ̀jẹ̀ tí ń bẹ lára wa, ìdá bíi 3 nù 5 ẹ̀ gan omi ni. A gbọ́dọ̀ máa mu omi, ẹ mú omi mímu lọ́kùnkúndùn.
Yes. The second advice again is this, that we should maintain hydration. When I say hydration, I mean we should always drink water at all time. Be you a pregnant woman, a man, a woman, young lady, elderly person, we must maintain hydration. water is very, very important to the body. Like a musician once said, in person of, I don't want to mention his name, he said, "Oh me, your water, oh water, it no get enemy. Water has no enemy. Water is one of the major things that the body actually needs. In fact, even scientists have come to discover that even if you don't have food to eat, water can still sustain for the next 5 days. But if you don't drink water within 5 days, you yourself, you will know the effect on your body. So we should try to be hydrated. That is, drinking of water is very, 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 very important. Now, in the course of drinking that water, we should equally be so conscious of the kind of water we consume, we drink. That is, we must be sure that we drink neat, clean water. Well filtered water is very, very important. And of course, for those people maybe that don't have maybe pipe-borne water within their region, maybe they have access maybe only to maybe stream water, they should make sure that it is boiled. Particularly pregnant women, this is not the time. No matter how harsh the weather might be, it's better you take ordinary water than to take cold water. Because cold water is not okay for the baby within. That is why you must be sure that you are hydrated. And of course, we are now in the rainy season. It's raining heavily, whereby there's possibility of erosion finding its way into our various wells for those of us that use this well, or maybe finding its way into our various streams for those of us that fetch water from maybe a particular stream for drinking. This is whenever we drink water and we discover that the water is not well neat, it can be taken, allow it to settle. After it settles, please endeavor to boil it, because boiling of water, no doubt, kills all germs that might be within that water molecules. So premise on this, water is very, very good for the body. We must make sure that we maintain the highest level of hydration, irrespective of what happened. Even if you are fasting, please, if it is just need to make sure, because the body needs water. Like we have made to understand, water is having the largest percentage of our body functionality. Water and blood mixed together. Water is even more important in the body. I'm not saying that blood is not important, but water is very, very germane. Like we all know, even right there in the heart, we have two arteries, one for water, the other one for blood. So water plays a very important role in our entire body functionality. Premise on this, it is advisable at this junction that we make sure that we keep ourselves hydrated all through. Thank you very much.
Yàtọ̀ sí èyí tá a sọ yìí, gbogbo àwa tó jẹ́ wípé à ń gbé ní ilé àtijọ́ tí fèrèsé rẹ̀ kéré, tí a sì mọ̀ pé alálàbòyún lé, mi bá ní wípé ó ṣeéṣe ilé ṣe tún kọ̀ ìbò tó ṣe pẹ́ǹsì ló ṣe rí sá, ká tó bá ṣeéṣe fún wa ká ṣe fún mọ̀lẹ́bí tó lè déwájú dẹjọ́ tó lè dẹ́yìn ó dasọ̀, a lè ṣe àwọn sẹ́nu ọ̀nà wa nẹ́ẹ̀tì èyí tó jẹ́ pé a lè mọ̀ sílẹ̀kùnlẹ̀, a lè fi nẹ́ẹ̀tì ti ibẹ̀ kí atẹ́gùn ṣáà lè máa wọlé sínú ilé wa. Àwa tá a sì wá fẹ́ kọ́lé, tó jẹ́ wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa torí àìsówó ni wọn kì í gbé àwòrán ilé wọn fún àwọn tí ó kọ́ṣẹ́ nípa yíya àwòrán ilé, ṣùgbọ́n ẹ ṣe lọ́nà tó jẹ́ wípé bó ṣe pé bàbá Kàbírù náà ni ó bá yín kọ́, ẹ ṣe lọ́nà tó jẹ́ pé atẹ́gùn ó lè máa wọlé jáde dáadáa. Èyún ẹ jẹ́ ká mú yẹn náà dání. Yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí, èmi ò ní kò sọ́fà, ọfà ló bá ọfà ayé ni, ọwọ́ ayé ni, ọfà ní fò, kìnìkan àwọn olóṣèlú wa ni wọ́n fẹ́ lo àwọn èèyàn kìnìkan. Ẹ jẹ́ á yàgò fún àhesọ ká ṣe ohun tó tọ́. Ẹ yàgò fún àhesọ ká ṣe ohun tó tọ́. Yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí náà, ẹ̀mí ìbá tún rọ̀ wá wípé gbogbo wa òun la níṣẹ́ ṣe. Wọ́n ó gbin igi kan àbí igi méjì. Nígbà tó yá làwọn kan ní wọ́n fi wájú ilé bẹ́ṣọ́ọ̀bù wọn ń gègì. Yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí làwọn kan ní gbogbo igi tó bá ti wà ládùúgbò àjẹ́ ń ṣe mítìn lórí ẹ̀, ayé ń pàdé lórí ẹ̀, àwọn ẹlẹ́yẹ ibẹ̀ ni wọ́n kọ́ duplex sí. Gbogbo ìwà àìmọ̀kànmọ̀kàn yìí ó wà lára àwọn nǹkan tí ń jẹ́ kí àyíká wa ó gbóná. Ó wà lára àwọn nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé kí afẹ́fẹ́ máa kápá nù ilé ẹlòmíì gan lọ. Ó wà lára àwọn nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ wípé kéèyàn wà nù ilé kó ogun kan bò lójijì torí kò sóhun tó lè pèsè òtútù tó lè bá wọn tiẹ̀ dínwọ́ ìpalára ìmóoru àyíká díẹ̀ sílẹ̀. Òun ló ń fa gbogbo ẹ̀ òun la gbọ́dọ̀ mójútó.
Now, like you rightly said, it's very good we observe ventilation. not just ventilation, cross ventilation. When I say cross ventilation, it simply means that houses with sufficient windows, because ventilation is the most important thing. We should, by the time we start living in a suffocated area, there is no doubt, there is no how it will not take a terrible toll on every person, the pregnant woman in particular. For those of us that stays probably in whole buildings that the window could be so small, if you can adjust it, very good. But if you can't, make sure you get a door net, both window net and door net. Now, because of insecurity, you can equally put in place a burglar. We are talking about life here, because the very minute we've had instances due to, and of course, for those of us that are still using generator, this is not the time for us to be putting generator close to the window, because of the exhaust from the generator might possibly, if it finds its way into the residence. We've seen instances where people have died due to the exhaust from generators. So this is time that you really need to observe cross ventilation. And of course, concerning the issue of tree planting is very important, particularly at the time of this climate change, whereby whenever there is maybe harsh weather, like we all know, trees itself provides oxygen. If you go through the nature of tree, it supports the oxygen being released into the air. And by the time you have trees, within your compound, you should expect a kind of fresh air coming out from those trees. And aside that, these trees equally help in making sure that whenever there is a wide wind, it does have its effect on the roof, thereby opening the entire roof, taking the entire roof away. The tree has the capacity and the stability to retain the wide wind that is coming. So these are the importance of tree planting in our various environment. And of course, regarding the issue of maybe when a pregnant woman begins to show some symptoms of pregnancy, we should not see it as a kind of arrow, African bullet. No, it is not a spiritual attack. No, it is only responding to the new status our body mechanism is adjusting to. And of course, we all know, for somebody to actually from semen to start taking form, forming flesh, forming bone, a whole human being is right within. There is no how the body system will not, change the other way around. So we should not begin to see every issue as spiritual attack. No, rather we should seek for medical advice. We should seek for medical attention. We should seek for medical services. Thereby, we can know the appropriate medication, the appropriate medical advices or attention that could be administered, not just to the pregnant woman alone, but of course to the children and infants as well that might be experiencing one or two things due to the climate change that is happening in Nigeria at the moment.
ẹni darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí òpó Facebook iléeṣẹ́ yìí at hyper1027 FM àti lórí YouTube wa náà àti lórí TikTok àti Instagram wa gbogbo ẹ̀ ẹni darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ṣùgbọ́n níbi tá a wá dé yìí ẹ ti láǹfààní láti gbọ́ ètò yìí lọ́sẹ̀ mẹ́rin ẹ sì ti láǹfààní láti gbọ́ 30 ìṣẹ́jú nú wákàtí kan nírọ̀lẹ́ tòní. Àkókò wa tó láti ṣojú òpó lẹ̀ fẹ̀yìn ara àlè láti sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ wo lẹ ti rí kọ́ nínú ètò yìí láti ìgbà tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Kí lẹ kọ́ gan nínú àwọn nǹkan tá a sọ lónìí, kí lẹ fẹ́ pàkíyèsí ara àlè sí. Gbogbo ẹ̀ nọ́mbà èyí tẹ́ mọ́ fi pè wá nírọ̀lẹ́ tòní ó ní 08165524699. Nọ́mbà ilé iṣẹ́ yìí Alaboyun àtòjú ọjọ́, àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ lọ́dọ̀ yín. Kí làwọn àkíyèsí tẹ́ ẹ ti ṣe, kí làwọn àkíyèsí tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ pè wá sí. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká gbé ìpè náà. Hello
sir.
ẹ ṣeun, owó kọyìn àti ibi tẹ́ ẹ ti ń pè wá.
Tèmi tọ́pẹ́ láti ìlú Ọ̀wọ̀ ni sir.
Ó yá bàbá ẹ tẹ̀ sọ́wọ́ iwájú.
Mo ní.
Òrèbété ẹgbìyànjú kẹ́ pè wá padà 08165524699. Bọ̀dá Tèmi Tọ́pẹ́ láti ìlú Ọ̀wọ̀ ẹgbìyànjú kẹ́ pè wá padà àbí kẹ́ fàtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ ránṣẹ́ àbí kẹ́ lọ tààrà sórí òpó Facebook wa báyẹn kẹ́ lọ drop comment yín síbẹ̀ 08165524699. Bóyá ẹ sì wá ní béèrè tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ béèrè lórí gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tá a yànnà náà yìí, àǹfààní ń bẹ fún yín láti béèrè. Káfí ọ̀tún wé òsì, káfòsì wé ọ̀tún, ó ní ọwọ́ fi mọ́ kérégede 08165524699. Òní nọ́mbà ọ̀hún Alaboyun àtòjú ọjọ́. Ohun gbogbo kọ́ lọ fà, ohun gbogbo kọ́ lọ wá ayé, ohun gbogbo kọ́ ni a rí ẹlòmíì tó jẹ́ pé nígbà tó bá súnmọ́ ipò ìbímọ yóò mọ làágùn torítorí, yóò mọ làágùn tìmútìmú, ẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ ó mọ wú, èmi ò ní ẹsẹ̀ ń kú tàìtàì, ọwọ́ ń kú tàìtàì, kàkà kó lọ ilé ìwòsàn fàbú oríṣiríṣi ni ó mọ tẹ́tí sí. Ojú ọjọ́ ti ń yí padà, ẹlòmíà ní ṣèbóun ti bí mẹ́ta tẹ́lẹ̀, ojú ọjọ́ ti ń yí padà, àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ ó ti ń mú kí àwọn nǹkan míì kó mọ̀ rí bíi ti tẹ́lẹ̀ mọ́. 08165524699 high power 102.7 FM ó nìkan ní ọ̀hún. Ètò tẹ̀sí ń gbọ́, ó ní ètò Alaboyun àti Oju Ojo. Ẹ mọ̀ pé ẹ mọ̀ dáàbò. Àwọn onítò ìlera méjì kòǹgbẹ̀kòǹgbẹ̀ náà ti wá sórí ètò yìí. Ohun kan ni gbogbo wọn sì panupọ̀ sí wípé oyún níní ipò ẹlẹgẹ́ ni, wípé àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ ti ń fa àwọn nǹkan kọ̀ọ̀kan tí kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́pọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀, pé kéèyàn wọn bímọ kògbókògbó kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́pọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀, bó ti wá wọ́pọ̀ báyìí gidi gan. Ebi tí mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí bàbá, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run wípé aya mi bímọ kan ńgbà kan, wọ́ọ̀dù tó wà nílé ìwòsàn ìjọba kan ìpínlẹ̀ yìí, wọ́ọ̀dù tó wà wọ́n fẹ́ẹ̀ tó, àwọn obìnrin tó wá bímọ fẹ́ẹ̀ tó 10 síbẹ̀. Àwọn méjì ni wọ́n rọ́mọ gbé lọ ilé, ẹni tó gbọ́mọ tiẹ̀ sínú ìgò, ẹni tí ó jẹ́ pé ọmọ ti gbọ̀ràn alákejì lọ. Hello.
Atọ́kùn ìṣe máa pé ètò.
Ẹ ṣeun o.
Ohun Adéyẹfà lẹ̀ ń gbọ́ láti Mọ̀rẹ́lẹ́.
Ẹ ṣeun bàbá wa.
Ẹ ṣe. Kẹ́rí gbogbo àlàkalẹ̀ yìí kẹ́tí ṣe látọjọ́ yìí gbogbo ẹ̀ ló yé mi yékéyéké. Kẹ́rí nǹkan tí èmi wò nú ẹ̀ ní pé ìgbà míì. Kẹ́rí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ̀dá ìyàn nílé ayé táwa yìí. Eléyìí tó pọ̀ lónú ẹ̀ òun ni
àfọwọ́fà.
Àwọn kan nǹkan tí wọ́n tọ́ ní bìlífù lé ọ̀tọ̀ ni. Nǹkan táwọn míì ní bìlífù lé ọ̀tọ̀ ni. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ká bá ní ká wò dáadáa ní ìbéèrè ọ̀rọ̀ mi ṣe fẹ́ rí atọ́kùn ètò. Èmi fẹ́ sọ fún yín pé kì í ṣe gbogbo aláboyún ló ń wo bí nǹkan ṣe rí lára ẹ̀. Aláboyún ní nǹkan tó gbàgbọ́, wọn ò gbàgbọ́ sí pé bóyá tásìkò bá tó ó yẹ káwọn lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn, tó bá fẹ́ ṣe lè kọ́ lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn. Àwọn ò ní gbàgbọ́ sí pé kọ́ lọ sójú ilé, bóyá ilé ìyá ìgbẹ́ agbẹ̀bí ni o, bóyá títọ́sí ni o, àbí kọ̀ọ̀kan ni o, ibè yẹn gan lọ́kọ̀ wọn máa ń lọ. Kí ló fà á ló fi rí bẹ́ẹ̀? Ẹ kú ètò.
Ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀, ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Èmi lè fẹ́ ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ náà ni ò tó, pé sensitization òun náà ni ò tí ì tó. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ló gbàgbọ́ wípé wọ́n gbàgbọ́ pé ipò ẹlẹgẹ́ ni ipò ìlóyún, ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n gbàgbọ́ wípé gbogbo nǹkan tó rọ̀ mọ́ ipò ìlóyún nǹkan ẹ̀mí ni, spiritual ni, pé spiritual ni. Ẹlòmíì ó mú mi àdúà ní gbogbo ìgbà, kò mú mi àdúà fún hydration, ó mú pé ó mú fún rọ́bì dànù, ó mú fún dèpènù, ó mú fún pé kọ́wọ́ ayé má bàa káhùn. Mo ti sọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan, ọ̀gbẹ́ni Akin Adébáyọ̀, wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ igi tó ń sèso ládùúgbò tẹ́lẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn máa ń rí jẹ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́, kó o bọ́ síwájú ilé, kó o ká ọsàn, kó o bọ́ sẹ́yìn kùlé, kó o ká bẹ́pẹ jẹ, kó o bọ́ sápá ọ̀tún, kó o tún rí bóyá píà, kó o jẹ. Gbogbo àwọn igi wọ̀nyí ó là ń gé dànù, tá à ń sọ pé àjẹ́ ń ṣe mítìnì ní orí ẹ̀. Mélòó ń gbogbo wa Nàìjíríà, mélòó làjẹ́ inú wa, mélòó ló wá yóò ara ìyà tí mọ̀ ṣe pàdé lórí igi? Ṣé wọn lè gbá ọ̀lù ni? Ìyẹn jẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀fẹ̀, ṣùgbọ́n mo mọ̀ pé àwọn ará ilé wọ́n mú kókó inú ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀hún gangan nínú tá à ń sọ.
Kò sí rọ́ńbẹ́ tẹ́ bá wò ná àwọn igi èso tẹ́ sọ yìí ó pẹ̀lú nǹkan tó jẹ́ kí èso gan wọ́n báyìí sìn. lóòótọ́ ẹlòmíì lè máa gbin igi apple síwájú ilé ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n igi guava tó gbẹ̀ igi cashew tó gbẹ̀ ìbẹ́pẹ tó rọra ní even àwọn fruit kékèké wọ̀nyí gan olótù ó ní nǹkan tó ń ṣe lára. ó pẹ̀lú nǹkan tó jẹ́ kí èso kí ó wọ́n àwọn kíní wọ̀nyí dẹ̀ níkẹ́ eléyìí tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ló gbìn tó fẹ́ ka fresh ó ti gbó kó tó di pé ó ká ó ti pọ́n kó tó di pé ó ká èèpọ̀ lọ́pọ̀ lẹ́ta lọ́wọ́ àlọ́jà yìí kọ́ dàbí kíní ìbá ti rí ibi tó ti ń fi kẹ́míkà pa ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ lára tádẹ̀ kàn án lójú ẹsẹ̀. so o ní pé eléyìí tá a fi ń ṣe ra wa gan ẹni tó pè wọlé lẹ́ẹ̀kan ó sọ pé àfọwọ́fà ló pọ̀ jù àfọwọ́fà òun ló pọ̀ jù.
climate change tá à ń sọ ìgan ṣe bí
àfọwọ́fà ènìyàn náà ni
ló pọ̀ jù ń bẹ̀ ká máa ba àyíká jẹ́
bẹ́ẹ̀ni
ká máa pa àwọn ìdọ̀tí àwọn ìdọ̀tí tá a mọ̀ wípé kò lè kẹ̀ lógún ọdún
bẹ́ẹ̀ni
àwọn waste tí ò wà biodegradable jẹ́ pé 20-25 years kò sí nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ lè ṣe sí
bẹ́ẹ̀ni kò lè bàjẹ́
digbí ló máa dúró síbẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ òun ni ó wá di pé káyíká máa móoru kómi máa yalé àgbàrá ya ṣọ́ọ̀bù kò fẹ́ sí apá ilẹ̀ ayé tómi ò tí ń yalé báyìí mọ́
kò sí
àti áfíríkà o àti yúróòpù o àti amẹ́ríkà o àti asia o gbogbo ẹ̀ ni kílẹ̀ máa mì lọ́tún kó máa mì lósì ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kíní wọ̀nyí bó tiẹ̀ jẹ́ pé a pè wọ́n ní natural disaster.
àfọwọ́fà ló pọ̀ jù
how natural is many of these natural disasters.
ọ̀rọ̀ jẹ́ kí n rántí ọ̀rọ̀ kan àwọn pé ibì kan wà ní lórílẹ̀‐èdè nàìjíríà wọ́n ti sanfilẹ̀ wọ́n ti lé omi yẹn sẹ́yìn tẹ́ bá wo ibi tí ọ̀wọ́n omi yìí ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ tí ó dẹ̀ rí bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́ dẹ̀ wá rí o tá a bá ń sọ natural disaster ọlọ́run máa fẹ́ràn ọ̀lẹ̀ nàìjíríà o olótù àì natural disaster mo ò dẹ̀ pray kárí àwọn tí tsunami àwọn tí Katrina ṣẹlẹ̀ sí náà mọ̀ tó ń jẹ́ natural disaster tẹ́ bá wo ibi tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wàhálà omi yìí ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ jù pápá jùlọ ní bí Èkó wọ̀nyẹn àwọn ibi tó ti lé omi sẹ́yìn ni omi dẹ̀ ní omi ò ṣe é lé sẹ́yìn tó bá máa yáwọ́ akọjá wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ ṣebí tsunami tá à ń sọ yìí irú rẹ̀ ló ṣẹlẹ̀ nú omi tó pé ó gbé omi kúrò níbi nǹkan tá a lẹ́jọ́ mọ́ ní ibi tó omi gbà lórílẹ̀‐èdè ayé ó ju ibi tí ilẹ̀ wà lọ irúlẹ̀ ló ṣẹlẹ̀ nú omi ẹ̀tẹ̀ẹ̀tẹ̀ tó rí yẹ gbọ́ tó yẹ pé ó gbé omi yẹ kúrò níbi tó pátápátá tó bọ́ sáàrin ìgboro so àfọwọ́fà òun ló pọ̀ jù pápá jùlọ bá ti nípa fẹ́ advance afẹ́sígbà nípa advancement ò dáa ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo kíní wọ̀nyí ó ní ipa tó ń kó ní bí Ọlọ́run ṣe dá nǹkan ẹ̀ síbẹ̀ àdẹ̀lẹ̀kí ti nature ó dàbí ẹni tó pé wọn ò ní sùn ni tó bá lóògùn tí ó sùn tó bá dé ìpele kan àti bí agbóyàn kan tó jẹ́ pé bóyá ó lọ sí àwọn eré olítàgé yìí ni tó lọ sí kí náà ń pè audition tó lọ for like a week or thereabout tí ó ní kò sùn rárá ó wá padà wá lónìí pé kò ń sùn kò ń ṣe kinní kan bó ṣe sùn tí ó jí mọ́ nìyẹn ṣàfọ̀ọ́fà kan nìyẹn so nature gbogbo àwọn kinní wọn Bíbélì sọ pé gbogbo tọ́lọ́run dá dáradára ni ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ọmọ ènìyàn ibi tí a fẹ́ advance a fẹ́ dọ́gbọ́n sí a fẹ́ ṣe a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń tọ́ bá àwọn kinní wọn lójú ìgbà wo ni kinní ìgbà ni àwọn náà àwọn náà wọ̀n ní fight back òun ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ so ibi gbogbo bí tá a gbin sí tẹ́lẹ̀ ìbá ń ṣiṣẹ́ pé bóyá kinní wọ́n ti gé ogbó ẹ̀ tán wọ́n ti fi yọ ṣọ́ọ̀bù ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ṣọ́ọ̀bù náà dẹ̀ ní kí wọ́n gbà so tí olótù àfọwọ́fà gẹ́gẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ti sọ òun ló pọ̀ jù lọ́tọ̀ wà nílẹ̀.
kíní kan tiẹ̀ tí wọ́n ń ṣẹlẹ̀ láyìíká wa báyìí èso kan ń bẹ tó jẹ́ wípé èso ló fẹ́ẹ́ wọ́pọ̀ jù tó dẹ̀ ṣara lóore tó rọrùn àti gbìn tó rọrùn àti tọ́jú bá ti gbìn síwájú ilé ẹ̀ tó máa so ni ó lè so fún 40 ọdún 50 ọdún èyí ò lè so máńgò àwọn kan ti wá sọ di iṣẹ́ báyìí kí máńgò wájú ilé yín mọ̀ tóbi rárá ni wọ́n wá gégi ọ̀hún wọ́n ní wọ́n là á sí pákó gẹdú ti tán ń gbó irú máńgò tí máńgò bá so dáadáa igba èèyàn lè máa ka jẹ kó máa lọ kó máa bọ̀ bá tún dọ̀la wà tún bá mi tó pọ́n lórí ẹ̀ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn àǹfààní ó ní èso yìí máa ń ṣe lára ṣùgbọ́n àǹfààní yóò sí mọ́ fún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa à ń bọ̀ bàbá padà dé á wà fún yín láwọn àmọ̀ràn bíi 2-3 ká tó máa lọ ẹ sì lè pè wá ẹ̀yin náà ẹ lè dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08165524699. a mẹ́nu lọ ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn àti ìmúra. Lákòókò ooru àwọn obìnrin kan ń bẹ nínú ẹ̀sìn kìrìsìtẹ́nì tó yẹ pé bọ́n tiẹ̀ ń bẹ nínú ilé pẹ̀lú ọkọ wọn ṣe ni wọ́n ó gbàjá méjì. àwọn kan náà ń bẹ tó yẹ pé wọ́n bá ń bẹ nínú ilé ara wọn nínú ẹ̀sìn ìsìláàmù tó yẹ pé àwọn èèyàn wa ti ń wọ nìkọ́ọ̀bù ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn bó tẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ẹ̀sìn gbà wọ́n láàyè tí wọ́n bá dọ́dọ̀ ọkọ àti bóyá ọmọ wọn láti ṣí ojú wọn ṣùgbọ́n bọ́n ṣe wọ̀ ọ́ lọ sọ́jà náà ni wọ́n mọ̀ wọ̀ kiri inú ilé lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọgbà a ti rí àwọn àpẹẹrẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ tírú ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ padà níbi ìnira nínú oyún. Gbogbo eléyìí òun la gbọ́dọ̀ bójútó. Yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí gbogbo wa òun la níṣẹ́ ṣe lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí gbogbo wa àtò lórí àtẹlẹ́mù àtijọba à ń fàkókò yìí rọ ìjọba náà láti tún náwó sí ọ̀rọ̀ ìlanilọ́yẹ̀ jákèjádò láti la àwọn èèyàn wa lọ́yẹ̀ lórí àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ àti láti rí i wípé àwọn náà gbé ìgbésẹ̀ tó tọ́. Igi gbígbìn, ìlanilọ́yẹ̀, kíkó ojú àgbàrá, kíkìlọ̀ fáwọn èèyàn wa nípa irú omi tó yẹ kán máa mu, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló yẹ kán máa ná. Ecological fund tíjọba àpapọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ń fún gbogbo ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ àti ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ló yẹ kán máa ná lé lórí.
Yes, like you made it to understand in the course of this program that when it comes to the issue of climate change, it's a global issue. But of course, it seems to be more pronounced here in this part of this world because of its aid condition. And that is why we are calling on government, particularly to know what to do regarding this issue. Because concerning the issue of orientation, people need to be oriented, people need to be informed about the issue of climate change. Of course, religious leaders equally needs to play a vital role because in the course of this program, we are able to go into the issue of religion pertaining climate change, particularly regarding a pregnant woman. We've had instances in Christendom whereby some people, even when they're in their own private closet, you see them still tying their hair scarf, thereby not allowing air to actually penetrate into their head. We're talking about a pregnant woman that needs cross ventilation, that her body needs to be cool all the time. And of course, when it comes to the issue of Islam as well, we've seen people that, this is their religion, that they have to just put on their gown, their rebok, so that they won't be exposed. But of course, when it comes to the issue of a pregnant woman, I think it is high time we begin to look deeply into that because it takes a terrible toll on a pregnant woman. By the time she doesn't have access to to fresh air, cross ventilation becomes a scarce commodity in that context. So we simply mean that in the course of a pregnant woman that want to maintain a religious status, you have to put into consideration the fact that its effect on us, particularly when we are, outside, if you can use it to the town, to the market, to the church and what have you, but the very minute to get back to your house, please endeavor to remove all these things that will not make it comfortable. And of course, like we already said, government needs a vital role to play. Of course, as we all equally have our own role to play regarding the issue of tree planting, regarding the issue of advising our people around us. Look, the very minute a woman is pregnant, advise her, encourage her, orientate her on how to go for immunization, on how to go for antenatal programs, so that in the course of doing that, she will be giving more orientation. And of course, the idea of us attaching religiosity to everything, particularly evil spirits, demonic attack here and there, we don't see they don't exist. Of course, they do. But when it comes to the issue of a pregnant woman, what they're experiencing is nothing but the issue of climate change. They're responding, reacting to climate change. And of course, by the time government is able to play its role by orienting the Bible said that information comes by speaking the word of God. Now, by the time people are oriented, they know how to go about planting trees. By the time people begin to understand the effect of tree planting, and of course, like you say, you take a positive impact. And of course, it is high time people begin to ask questions regarding the ecological fund being given to our various governors. What are they using it for? Are they using it appropriately? Because that fund is actually, since the issue of climate change has become a global issue, particularly global warming, because that's another twist to it. Government has been doling out money in cushioning this effect on our citizens. The question is this: how far have our government gone about spending this the budgeted amount for ecological fund. All this put together is what this program has really addressed.
ẹ wò ó kì í dùn kó pẹ́ ṣókí báyìí òun náà ní ọbẹ̀ oge o. Mo fẹ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ̀ ń tẹ́tí sí wa. Àǹfààní sì ń bẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe lè pè wá o láàrin ìṣẹ́jú kan 08165524699 ní nọ́mbà ọ̀hún. Àfẹ́fà lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí àdúpẹ́ lọ gbogbo àwọn tá a jọ kọ́ wọ́rìn, gbogbo àwọn amójú ẹ̀rọ tí wọ́n bá wa ṣiṣẹ́, gbogbo àwọn ọlọ́wọ́ bọ́tìnì, gbogbo lọ́gàálọ́gàá lè iṣẹ́ yìí, àti ní pàtàkì jùlọ àjọ Politiza Center. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni wípé wọ́n ó tún máa ràn wá lọ́wọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti túbọ̀ máa la àwọn aráàlú lóye lórí àwọn ewu tí ń bẹ lórí àyípadà ojú ọjọ́ àti ní àwọn ẹ̀ka míì nínú tí wọ́n fẹ́ kí gbogbo ayé kí ó gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀hún. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo fẹ́ rán yín létí omi mímu, omi mímọ́ ó dára lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ lára. Mo fẹ́ rán yín létí ohun gbogbo kọ́ ló fà. Mo fẹ́ rán yín létí bẹ́ẹ̀ bá mọ bó ṣe ń ṣe yín tàbá láboyún ilé yín ẹ gbọ́ síbítù lọ. Mo fẹ́ rán yín létí wípé ipò ẹlẹgẹ́ ó nípò ìlóyún. A fẹ́ rán yín létí wípé àjùmọ̀ṣe ni o, iṣẹ́ gbogbo wa ni. Gbójú ọjọ́ ṣe ń yí padà, a gbọ́dọ̀ yí bí ọ̀nà tí àgbà ń gbélé ayé wa, tí àgbà ń wo ìwòye tá a ní nípa ètò ìlera wa, a gbọ́dọ̀ yí padà kí gbogbo ẹ̀ kó lè dúró dáadáa ni. Ẹ ṣeun.
Yes, as we run up the program and meant from now, I want to say a very big thank you to every person that has contributed in one way or the other in making this program a huge success, particularly Politiza Center that actually sponsor this program. And of course, to the radio station we are using, that is iPower 102.7 FM, and general manager and all the engineering crew and every person that has taken part, either via the drama series, and of course every person that we've invited, the professionals, the medical experts that have contributed in one way or the other. And of course, like you rightly said, we want to remind you that every person needs to stand up in making sure that this climate change doesn't consume us by doing what is right. We want to equally remind you that whenever a woman is pregnant, she has a tendency of reacting to the various trimesters she might be passing through in the course of that pregnancy. And of course, it is important we keep ourselves hydrated. That is drinking of water. Water is very, 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 very important. And not just any other water, clean, purified water, boiled water, cool boiled water. We should be sure that we take it so that it can hydrate us. And of course, everything is not spiritual attack. Whenever you are feeling somehow in your body system, and whatever, particularly pregnant women, we should make sure that we go to the nearest health center around us